So this is going to be so powerful, and one of the most powerful things in this process is for you to understand the very basic principle, which is principle number 1 of this entire process, or step number 1, is what I call the fascination factor. Now, what is the fascination factor? The fascination factor means that you have a gift. You have something that you've been doing your entire life. You love doing it. It energizes you. It energizes others. You could do it all day long. And at the end of the day, you have more energy than when you started. You do it all day long because you love it. And if the truth were told, you would do it for free. And many of you are. But the truth is, once you begin to package this, and packaging this is you. Once you begin to package you in the right way, you can command not only high dollars for what you do, but you can command transformation in the lives of your clients. You can help them transform. You can help them break through. You can help them go to the next level. And I think everybody in this room wants to help people transform. I think that's one of the commonalities of why we're all here. And if you agree with that, say passion. So you are a fascinating individual. You have something you do better than anybody else in the world. It's totally unique to you. Nobody else can do what you do. And here's the funny thing that happens. Somebody will come up to us and they'll say, well, you are absolutely amazing at that. You were incredible. That was amazing, the best thing I've ever seen. And you'll sit there and go, oh, you mean that? I do that all the time. But other people will be looking at it and marveling and saying, wow, I wish I could do that. Because you do it so uniquely. And I believe that if you can get in touch with that, this isn't just surface level saying, let's create a brand and make something look good. The brand is really you. The brand is how you show up. The brand is the emotions that you give to other people, the inspiration that you share so that they're moved. And if you show up in that way, in your own way, well, people will look at you and say, wow, that's a fascinating person. I would like to have an ongoing relationship with him or her. So much of what we're going to do this weekend, yes, we're going to get into plenty of business. So you will get a lot of business this weekend. That is a promise. But what you will also get is the breakthrough, the self-discovery, the realization that, you know what, within me there's so much more. There's so much more that I have to give. There's so much more that I can do. And this weekend we will bring that out together. So the fascination factor starts with one single question. And the question is this: who are you? Who are you? If you were to write that down right now and come up with a word that describes you, what would that word be? I get asked that question all the time, and it comes back over and over and over again. Did you know I've been asking that question every day for the last 7 years? 7 years, morning ritual. Who am I? What do I want from my life today? What's my purpose? Who am I? And I get a word, inspiration, inspirator. I love to inspire. It's part of why I'm here, to inspire other people. So when I show up, it's not just showing up from a place of, hey, let's go build a business this weekend. It's not just showing up from a place of, hey, let's coach you on the strategy. It's showing up from a place of, let's inspire. And if I come from that place in any given moment, then I always, always, always show up as my best self, and I show up in a way that compels people to want to work with me. Just as you show up in that way with your word. So if you would, write down a word that comes to your mind. And if you get a word like, I'm a father or I'm a mother, I would ask you, what does being a father give you? What does being a mother give you? What emotion does that inspire within you? Because that's the fuel for what's driving your life. And if that fuel isn't activated, guess what? You don't take the actions that you normally would take, and you don't get the results that everybody wants in this room. So that question of who are you is one of the most profound questions. You heard in my story when I sat down across the table from my business partner, Mo Abdu, as he was hiring me at New York Life, he asked me a simple question: who is Ted McGrath? I was given the gift for 4 hours to explore that. When's the last time you got 4 hours to explore that? Well, this weekend you can give yourself permission to explore that very question. Who am I? Inspirator. For me, inspiration. I love to inspire. Another word that comes up for me is transformation. Inspiration, transformation. Put them together, boom, you got a mission out of 2 words. I want to inspire more people to transform their lives than any other human being that's ever lived. 2 words defines exactly why I'm here on this earth. 2 words. What's your word? Dig into your word, and don't come up with just a simple word that says, okay, I'm going to play it safe on this, because what you're going to learn from this weekend and what we'll all learn together is the more we step out of our comfort zone, the more risks we take, the more fulfilling life is. The greatest risk, as you've heard, is not taking them. So risk yourself a little bit this weekend. Risk your emotions here to where you allow yourself to come up with a word. When you share with your partners later on, you come up with a word that truly defines you, even though that you cannot be defined, but it defines you in a way where say, you know what, that's as close to it as I can get. So if you're willing to go deep into that word, into that essence of who you are, just raise your hand and give me a passion. Give me a better passion than that. Give me a passion! Awesome. Awesome. So who are you? The second step in the process, it is, what is it that you do? What do you do? How do you simplify the message of what it is that you do so people understand it? Now, ultimately, many people will say, get really clear on what you do, and that becomes the game changer. But at the end of the day, what you do isn't really the game changer. It gets you in the game. See, how you do it and how you differentiate yourself starts to become the game changer. If you look at companies like Apple, they could very easily say, you know what, we're in the computer business. We're in the music business. But what they do may have some similarities to other people, but how they do it and why they do it is on a totally different level. That's what drives their core, is why they're here on this planet. So first we need to start off with what you do, because what you do simplifies your message so that when you're out at a networking group and somebody asks you, what do, you can get to it in like 5 to 7 seconds. Anybody ever been at a networking event and somebody asks you what it is that you do, and it's like you go around in this whole story and you come back and the person's lost? Anybody ever been there? I have. Say passion, right? We've all been there, right? So like, how do you get to it very simplistically of what it is that you do? And so somebody gets it and they're like, okay, that's interesting. I want to hear more. And in the insurance business, we all had an identity crisis because nobody wanted to be seen as an insurance professional. So every time you got asked what it is that you do, I mean, people would be talking about, oh, well, we're crystallizing objectives and we're painting futures and we're doing all these things, which is all very true, but it's like, what do you do? What do you do? Like, some of you have been to our past business breakthrough immersion workshops, and people will ask me, well, what do you do? I say, we help people with their passion, and we turn it into profits. How do you take your passion, turn it into profits? Simple, right? Everybody in the room has a passion. How do you turn it into profits? How do you make money doing the thing that you love? I don't know of a person on the planet who doesn't want to do the thing that they love. If you want to do the thing that you love, say passion. So everybody, give me a better passion than that. Give me a passion. Give me a better one. Passion. Everybody wants to live their passion. Everybody. And everybody wants to get paid to do it too. They may not admit it, but if somebody were to say, hey, you do this thing in such an amazing way, here's $1,000, would you turn it down? So it's turning that passion into profits. So what do you help people do? I want you to write that down. Like, I help people live their passion, find their passion, discover their passion. So what do you help them do? Just write that down. What do you help people do? And then as you're writing down what you help them do, you're also writing down the outcome that that's going to provide for them. Right? The outcome or the reward that people are going to get as a result of you helping them do something. Because people don't just want to do something to do it, they want to do it so they can have something, right? They want an end result. How many people do things for no reason in particular? How many people like to do stuff that has a reason? Now, every once in a while, it's fun to do something that has no purpose or no reason. You just goof off, right? But when you're up and you're focused on your purpose and your mission, when you wake up, you're doing something for a reason. There's an end result that you want. There's an outcome. So when you talk to people about what you do, sure, well, I help people discover their passion. Well, great. So what? And when you help them discover their passion, what do they get? They get to make money doing what they love. They get to live a more fulfilled life. They get to be more connected to their best self. They get to give their gift in the world. So simplify what you're helping them do that leads to a result or outcome that they get. Two things. What do you help them do, and what's the outcome or the result that you're helping them get? This is step 2 of the formula. We call this your fascination statement. And if you open up in your workbooks, you can follow along in your workbooks of what I'm going through. It should also be up here on the PowerPoint right there. So, now, once you help them do something and help them have something, how many people like to throw a little hook in there, right? The hook is how you do it. It's the differentiator. It's one of the things that draws them in to say, I understand what you do, but now I'd like to learn a little bit more about what you do. So how do you intrigue somebody to want to learn more about what it is that you do? How do you intrigue them to want to learn more? So if I'm at a networking group and somebody says, well, hey Ted, it's great to meet you. What is it that you do? Oh, I work with entrepreneurs and coaches, and I help them find their passion, and I help them turn that passion into profits. I help them make money doing what they love. How many people understood that? Raise your hand. Give me a passion. Then if I say, somebody says, well, how do you do that? Oh, I've got this amazing scientific formula that we use. It's just blow your mind. How many people are interested to find out what the scientific formula is? Is that a good hook? I mean, a scientific formula that can help me live my passion and make money? So I've delivered something in maybe a few words, right, in a simple conversation with a simple hook that brings them in to wanting to know more. It's good or good. Give me a passion. Right? Simplify it. Make it simple. Now, step 2, once you have the hook, then you go to step number 3. And step number 3 is your story. So how many people in the room feel like after an hour of sitting there listening to me, got to know me a little bit through my story? Right? How many people feel a little bit more connected to me, because most of you have no idea who I am coming here? How many people feel a little bit more connected after hearing my story? Right? So the story is profound and powerful. Now, at a networking event, you don't exactly have an hour to sit here and share your story. To sit here and share your story. To sit here and share your story. You don't have an hour to do that, but you do have enough time to get it in there very briefly to captivate the other person. So how many people would like to know how that actually goes? Give me a passion. Give me a better passion than that. Give me a passion. We're going to keep the energy up all weekend. Give me a passion. So we're going to dive into how do you create that story and captivate somebody to where they hear what you do, they hear your hook of how you do it and your differentiator, and at the same time they hear your story. So this could go for one-on-one as you meet somebody. This could also go where you're doing video and you're sharing video with somebody and you have so much time to get their attention. This could work from the stage. But getting into your story and really captivating and capturing your story and really reflecting into your life to find out, what is the story that I can share that means the most to me, that's totally authentic, and I can give it in such a way that's going to connect with other people because the message is universal. Now, how many people in their life have ever felt a time in their life where you didn't feel good enough? Raise your hand. Right? So it may not be in this very moment, but there's situations where you have felt at some point in your life not good enough. We all have. That's a universal thing. So you hear in my message this morning, did you hear over and over again, not smart enough, not good enough, not old enough, not experienced enough? How many people heard that? Give me a passion. Right? Driving home the message that we've all felt that to some degree or another. So if we've all felt that, how do we unite and break through that? So if I can share a story powerfully in a way that draws people in with a message that's universal, and when it's universal, it becomes personal, right? So if there's a universal message, it becomes personal. If the message is very personal, it also becomes universal. So the more personal you can get it, and I learned this from a friend of mine, Bo Eason, the more personal you can get your message, the more universal it becomes. So the deeper you can go into the story where it means so much to you and it touches you at the core, and it's so personal, what you'll realize is that most people in the world have experienced something to that degree. Now, we've all had different experiences. We've all been in different relationships. We've knelt at different graves. We've been through different circumstances. But at the end of the day, we've had similar situations in the way that we feel. So if you can tap into that emotion in the way that you feel and the way that you know other people feel, well, you can draw them in. You can make that connection. So the components of the story are really simple. I love stories. I love movies. How many people in the room love movies? Give me a passion. I love watching movies. It's like nothing. I watch the movie and I'm ignited because when there's a character that's like giving it all and emotionally just showing up, it's exciting. And we get captivated into the story. Why? Because these film producers have been creating stories for decades and decades and almost centuries. These film producers, they do it in such a way where they know how to captivate us. They know how to take us on the journey, and along that journey, they know we're going to experience the ups, the downs, the breakthroughs, the calls, the beginnings, the pits, all that stuff. So why not craft our stories the way the filmmakers do? Because if you look closely into your story, I'm going to bet that it's exactly how movies go. So here's how the story begins. The story begins with a call. A call to do something great. You get the call, like the moment that I got the call standing on the top floor of the New York Life Insurance Building. I get the call to go live my destiny, right? I get the call. I get the call to do something great. I get the call to play a higher role. I get the call to serve a higher purpose. I get the call, but I still don't know what the meaning of it all is yet. But I'm getting the call and I'm getting the voice. Just like at the beginning of the movie, they get the call. You're wondering what it is, you're trying to make it out, but you see the characters getting the call. They're getting called into action. So your story should have some type of call. If you're tracking me with this, give me a passion. Right? It should have some type of call. What's the call? You heard it in several parts of my story. Top floor of the New York Life Building, I get the call. You heard it in my tennis story as well. Right? I get the call to go try out for the #1 team in the nation, Division II. In fact, I started out my one-man show with that very line. When I was 17 years old, I had a vision, a dream, to play for the #1 team in the nation, Division II, right? That's the call. Boom, it's like, what's going to happen? So what's your call in your story? And don't sit here and think, well, I don't have a story, my story doesn't make a big difference. Everybody has a story. And if your story was personal and meaningful to you, then most people will connect with it. So what's the call? Then ultimately, you couldn't just have this call. It's like, okay, I get the call to play on the tennis team, I go, I hit the few balls, and I win the match, and now I'm co-captain of the team. I mean, that wouldn't be a good story, right? People would look at that and be like, well, okay, great. Or I get the call from New York Life, and all of a sudden it's like, I want to leave New York Life, I get the call to live my passion, and I go out and live my passion, and here I am today with you guys. Where's the story? If you saw a movie like that, you'd walk out and say, not a good movie. So once there's the call, then ultimately it's like, boom, there's some pit, right? I mean, how many people have been in a pit before? I mean, give me a passion over here, right? I mean, the pit is where like the juice happens. The pit is like where all the stuff comes out. The pit is where the opportunity is. Most people look at the pit and say, I don't ever want to go into the pit. But the great performers say, let's go, baby. Let's slay that dragon. And we're going to talk this weekend about the pit. And we're going to talk about the pit from the standpoint of, in every pit, in every problem, is a solution waiting to unfold. I'm going to talk about the science behind that very statement. If you write this down, this is a scientific fact. Every problem is driven by its potential solution. Period. Problems show up with a potential solution waiting to unfold. Now, it doesn't justify the act. It doesn't justify the actual problem that's showing up. But the problem shows up with a lesson to learn and potential to unfold. And every story in it has a pit or a major problem. That's where the juice is. So when you're down in the pit, and you're slaying the dragon, right? Like in my story, I leave New York Life. I go to find my passion. I make lots of bad business deals, lose over $1 million. Drink. Major drinking problems. Almost kill myself. Down in the pit, trying to slay this dragon of slaying this alcohol challenge that I've had my entire life and to free myself from it so that I can break through, slay the dragon, live my passion, share my gift, and change the world. Pit. Right? Gotta be a pit. That's where the excitement is. Now, that's not where all the excitement is, because you don't want to live in the pit forever, right? You want to go into the pit, you want to tackle the journey, you want to slay the dragon, and then, once you slay the dragon and you face the challenge and you stretch yourself to new heights that you never thought were possible up into that moment, because what you thought was possible was what you already knew. See, what's possible is something you don't even know yet because you haven't even been there. So it's that faith and that guidance to step into that moment, knowing that it makes no logical sense, knowing that the linear mind is thinking, how am I going to get from A to Z? Let's exact this thing and calculate it and try and figure it out. But the linear mind serves you no justice, or maybe just a little bit of justice, when you're in that moment about to step into the pit. Because the linear mind will say, against all odds, ain't going to happen. The Spirit says, defy the odds. That's the name of my one-man show. Defy the odds. Step into the damn pit. In the face of fear, in the face of uncertainty, step into the pit. Having no idea how you're going to go get out. Having no idea, am I even going to bring in a sword? What weapon do I use? Having faith that the weapons and the lessons will be revealed and the clues along the way. So with your story, if you can share your story in a way where you share it with people and you get into the pit and you can do it in a time frame where you get your message across, I can tell you people will remember you. Sitting with a gentleman the other day, his name's Gabriel, and we're doing some business with him. We're talking to him about setting up his automated webinar system. Guy's amazing, high performer, puts 1,000 people in rooms, incredible guy, great heart, sitting down with him, and he was asking around about me as he came to meet with me. And prior to that moment, I was in a mastermind about a weekend before. And as I'm in the mastermind sitting there, I got to sit down next to somebody named Lisa Sasevich. Anybody know Lisa? She's amazing at sales, incredible person. And I'd never met her before. And she was only there for 2 hours. And we had no time to talk except for 2 or 3 minutes as I sat down. And we talked about what it is that we do. We shared our message. And at the end of the day, I shared my story in that brief amount of time. My battle with alcohol, the scientific formula that helped me break through, my near-death experience. And when he asked around about me, he was talking to her because he was about to go to her event that weekend, and he asked, have you ever heard of this guy, Ted McGrath? He was in a mastermind with you this past weekend. Which one was he? There were 50 people in the room. Which one was he? Was he the guy that almost died and had that near-death experience? So they remember nothing else, not about what you do, probably not what I looked like, but they remember a portion of the story. People remember stories. People also remember tragedy. So if you can share your pit, it makes it more memorable and it makes it more engaging. Now, when you get done with the pit, what comes after the pit? You slay the dragon, and then what? You break through. You break through. So there's that moment, right? And it's that aha moment. That aha moment where you're on the search, you're on the journey, you're looking for all the stuff that's going to help change your life. Like, I was on the search, how am I going to solve my alcohol problems? How am I going to build a business? How am I going to find my passion? Losing $1 million. I go through the struggle, all the challenges, and all of a sudden, boom, aha, this one moment I discover a scientific formula. That's the breakthrough. That's the breakthrough. The breakthrough, right? Boom, breakthrough. Boom, that's the moment. Whoosh. Got it. Got the tool that's going to change the game. It's going to change the game. The breakthrough happens. Whoosh. And then you discover the tool, the process, the relationship, the moment, the opportunity, the moment that changes everything. You share that moment. You heard me in my one-man show, and one day I discovered it, the process, the scientific formula. How many people remember the scientific formula? Right? So you remember it, the aha moment, the discovery of it. And then, what's not on that sheet is the celebration. Right? Breakthrough, and then the celebration, and the celebration is the result. Hey, I discovered this process, and all of a sudden, I break through, and I get this result. I'm a non-drinker. Right? And then you hear the result, the non-drinker. How many people heard the words non-drinker? I heard people about to clap when I did that. Right? You heard non-drinker. You're like, yes, that's the result. He got the result. Right? And celebration. The credits roll in the movie. It's an A movie. You feel great. I did it. I connected with that person in the networking group, and boom, game is on. And now you have an opportunity to take that relationship to the next level. Rather than walking in, hey, what is it that you do? I did this for 7 years, and then 14 years I did this, and now I'm doing this, and now I think I'm getting into this, but I'm doing 4 other things, and I got 3 different companies and 4 different teams working for me, and blah, 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 and they're like lost. Right? They're lost. No idea. No clue what you're talking about. They're gazed over. They're thinking about the next person that they can connect with. Because how you present yourself in that one-on-one situation, that presentation that you make determines whether they want to have an ongoing relationship from a purely business perspective. If somebody is not presenting themselves well, I'm clued in to a certain degree that, does this person really know what they're talking about? Is this somebody that I want to partner with? Now, it may be somebody that I want to coach, it may be somebody that I want to mentor, it may be somebody that I want to help, but to grow together with them, I don't know. Right? So the celebration is, that's the result, right?